Alice Timefield has arrived in Zenless Zone 0, and many people thought she was here to take Jane's place, but in fact it turns out that she is here to be Jane's teammate. And in this video I'm gonna teach you how to play the Jane Doe Alice team proper. Hello everybody, welcome to the channel, my name is Hako. I was on the test servers for Alice and I was able to showcase a team consisting of both Alice and Jane Doe at different investment level against different content. Now the team is kind of straightforward and simple, but I've gotten quite a lot of questions of like how to play it proper, so let's go over it step by step. First, let's talk about what each character brings to the table. Jane Doe, her big thing in this team is that she allows Alice's assaults to crit. At M2, they crit a lot harder. So right now a team consisting of M2 Alice plus M2 Jane is the strongest team in the game just because how well they synergize together. Alice is a master of causing assaults, and one of her big things is that she can cause an assault disregarding the cooldown, like the internal cooldown of creating assaults, and she can also disorder with assaults. This is massive and this is huge. The best in slot teammate for this team is Yuzuha, although Astra can also work, but to a lesser extent. And the core principles behind this team, they stay the same even at like M0 or M2, so even if you're running M2, this will still be relevant. And the big things to look out for is number one, always have whatever buff you have with you, always have that one applied. So if it is Yuzuha, always make sure that Yuzuha's buff is applied. If it's Astra, always make sure that her buff is applied on both of your units. Number two, always make sure that Gnaw is active on an enemy. So Gnaw is Jane's core passive. And it says, when Jane's attacks hits an enemy, it causes them to enter the gnawed state, lasting for 10 seconds. Now, if an assault happens on a gnawed enemy, the gnawed state gets increased by 5 seconds, so 15 seconds total. And I would say that this is, quotation marks, the hardest thing about the team to keep up. Like making sure that Jane Doe has hit an enemy before the assault procs. And what is great with Alice is that she has a lot of lengthy animations. Alice's bread and butter is her Starshine Waltz, which is her hold down attack button attack that consumes her blade etiquette charges. Now when you've started charging this one, you can safely switch into Jane Doe and hit the enemy. So even at the time of pressing Starshine Waltz on Alice and the enemy isn't in a gnawed state, we have ample time to switch into Jane and apply the gnaw state. In this team, Alice is the main carry and she should have most of the field time. Jane is a sub-carry, she's here to use up any energy and apply the gnaw state. And these things are mostly to be done while Alice is in an animation of a Starshine Waltz. Whatever buffer we bring, well, they're just here to upkeep the buff. And the absolute biggest focus on the team is serving Alice with blade etiquettes, and if you want to know how to do that, check out all of my Alice guides in the description. The main goal is to cause as many assaults per minute as possible. And my go-to opener for this team is to start off the combat by applying Yuzuha's buff, then we send in Alice, she starts with a full bar of blade etiquette, so then we charge up the Starshine Waltz. After that, as soon as the animation takes off, we switch into Jane and we apply the gnaw state so that the first assault from Alice is allowed to crit, and also it can disorder with the assault that we cast with Jane. After that, it is super straightforward and simple. We on-field Alice as much as possible, we gain blade etiquette, we do Starshine Bolts, and we make sure that no assaults happen without Jane having hit that enemy within the last 15 or 10 seconds. And let's talk some investment priorities. I've heard people having mixed opinions and mixed priorities for this. I'll give you my one. So which one is priority to level up? Now a lot of people will say Jane. I'm gonna be a little bit of a contrarian and I'm gonna say that M2 Alice is more important than M2 Jane with a little bit of a caveat. Now M1 Alice helps a lot with her rotation and M2 does the same and also adds on a massive extra chunk of damage tied to her ultimate. If it is a lengthy content, like say Deadly Assault, where we have 3 minutes, and the goal is to cause, as many assaults during those 3 minutes as possible, M2 Alice is the most important puzzle piece in this puzzle. But if we're speedrunning Shiyu, for example, and what we need is the biggest hitting assaults. So if we're just looking for, a few assault hits and we want those assault hits to be as high hitting as possible, M2 Jane takes priority. And this is why this team is so especially powerful in Shiyu, where it's usually a lot of waves on top of each other. If you can kill the first wave with 1 assault, second wave 1 assault, and then we get to the boss, that is very, very high stonks, because we don't have to deal with the internal cooldown of being able to trigger assault. But my personal recommendations for priority is first M2 Alice, if we're looking to go past M0 investment for this squad. M2 Alice, M2 Jane, Yuzuha, Alice's engine, Yuzuha's engine, and finally Jane's engine. In reality, the best engine to use on Jane for this setup is usually Weeping Gemini, because we don't really have the time to stack for Sharpened Stinger. I'm still using Sharpened Stinger because I don't have enough resources to level up our Weeping. And I also feel like I want to get some value, out of the engine that I used hard-earned pools to get. And for this team, you want both Alice and Jane on Fanged Metal. And what's neat about this is that you can have Jane on an attack 6, because we don't want more Anomaly Monster, because we're gonna be overcapping the physical build-up anyway. And for some final tips. The most common mistake I do when playing this is I don't reapply Jane's null status in time for an assault to hit, and I notice immediately because that assault does 2 million damage instead of 4 million damage. So always have a little bit of a look at the time and do I need to switch into Jane to reapply null before this assault hits? For the second one, I see people on-fielding Jane too much, where on-fielding Alice more would yield better results. And the reason why that is the case is that the biggest roadblock for this team is that, we can't trigger assault every second. Instead, we need to wait until the internal cooldown is over. With Alice's Starshine Volts, we don't have to care about the internal cooldown at all. And during an encounter, we might, get off a total of 20 assaults, where if we had on-fielded Alice more, we might have been able to do 24, 25, etc. So if you want to push yourself with this team and improve, keeping a little bit of a tally, how many Starshine Volts did I manage to get off this time, and try to get even more the next time. Alice has so many little techs and quirks in order to get this faster, and I teach you all about this in my other Alice content. Have you tried out this team yet? Do you like it? Is it your new favorite? Were you struggling, and did you find any of these tips especially helpful? Feel super free to let me know. And as always, thank you so much for watching. Until next time, Hako out.
Oh, I wish that you could just take it easy.